This episode of the Coarse Grind Podcast has been brought to you by Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, family-owned and operated screen printing and embroidery business located in a historic storefront on Old Berwick Road in the heart of Espy. They've been doing screen printing for over 20 years. They have high-quality product at a low price. Be sure to check them out. Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, 570-784-1212. Now, on to the show.
Hey everyone, this is Sasha Grumman, the Fierce Chef. You're listening to the fabulous Shawn Rosler on the Coarse Grind Podcast. Enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode number 177 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With you again this evening, host creator Shawn Rosler. What is going on besides my cat's bell in the background, which I'm sure you just heard? You know, what's better than one trip back to the well? Hell, what's better than two? Well, if you guessed a third, and that's not even it, by the way, you get a gold star or whatever it is you want to get. Let's be honest, when I met the Eliminators from Portland, I realized just how much these four kind of put a bow on the season for me. And now, meeting them and talking to them, I feel even more resolute that a better squad I could never find. And with Sasha and Roscoe in the books, it's time to move on. Maybe on with two N's? You get it? Tonight's guest is a two-time James Beard Award semifinalist for the Best Chef Mid-Atlantic, and is the chef co-owner of four establishments: Metzger Bar and Butchery, Brenner Pass, Black Lodge in Richmond, Virginia, and Leni in Washington, D.C. She attended the French Culinary Institute in New York City, after learning about sustainability and local sourcing of true farm-to-table cuisine. Our guest went on to be a part of the opening team of Northern Spy Food Company in Manhattan's East Village, where she worked her way up as sous chef before returning to her native Virginia to open her own restaurant. In 2014, she opened Metzger, which focuses on German-influenced dishes with an emphasis on seasonal and sustainable ingredients. She strives to transform classic cuisine with modern presentation and local ingredients. With the success of Metzger, more locations emerge, which in time we'll get to right here on this little show. 4 locations, farm-to-table sensibility, and a dog lover. Yeah, we didn't mention that to boot. What's not to love? So enough of the intro, let's bring her outro. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, two-time James Beard Award semifinalist for the Best Chef Mid-Atlantic, chef co-owner of Metzger Bar and Butchery, among others, and top chef rockstar member of the Eliminators, Chef Brittanny, with 2 N's, Anderson. What is going on?
Hi, I'm so glad to be here.
So glad to be here, so glad to be back. It's so fun to, literally have you guys coming back this quick, because it's we never really stop talking. So that's fun.
Yeah, we definitely have the flow going. It's gonna come natural.
We got the flow. And speaking of the flow of the show goes a little something like this. People with shitty short-term memories like yours truly, or folks new to the program, who knows? Starters, mains, and afters. Starters, we're going to talk about where the guests in question really kind of got their culinary footing underneath. And, here again, as with Sasha, with Brittanny, you'll get a little bit of a repeat, but we're going to do a deeper dive. We'll talk about the mains, where they're at currently, where they draw their inspiration from, maybe what the 5-year window looks like. Finally, afters, we'll talk about a little bit more irreverent topics, a little bit more off the cuff, but no one has been seriously bodily injured in 176 episodes, so I don't foresee that happening tonight, but who knows. So without further ado, Brittanny with 2 N's, Anderson, tell me about where and what you grew up eating.
So I grew up, between the city in Richmond, Virginia, and then also the Chesapeake Bay on the Northern Neck, where my mother's whole family's from. And I grew up fishing and eating lots of seafood and eating lots of oysters and things like that. But I also had a single mom, so we did a lot of, hamburger helper and rice-a-roni and box things, because she was working all the time and trying her best to take care of me and my brother. So I feel like I kind of got a lot of both worlds of that. So I feel pretty lucky.
Yeah, and that's such an awesome area. We actually just got back from Bethany Beach. And, mind you, not truly the Chesapeake, or at least I don't think so.
It's Delaware, right?
Yeah. And But still, that vibe is just so absolutely unique. And adorable and lovely and all of it. So what a great, kind of backdrop to bring your scene up to. Now, looking at the eating, obviously, like you said, you got the best of both worlds. Were you a picky eater growing up, or were you pretty adventurous?
Always adventurous.
Oh, yeah?
Always a big eater. My dad is a great eater and a great cook, and we used to be out fishing. He'd catch a tuna, we'd eat it raw right off the fish.
Hell yes.
Yeah, so I always had really cool food experiences like that. Also, my family hunts a lot, so grew up eating lots of pheasant, partridge, wild turkey, venison. So I was always exposed to a lot of that stuff, like game and fish.
Oh, that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Yeah. And, folks out there on the West Coast, all sun-tanned and sun-kissed, listen, you can keep that, man. Give me some venison. Give me, my oldest is actually going out for season 3 with his uncle, and so his uncle is practically like a game warden, just not a game warden, and he knows, like, he literally can just be like, all right, dear, do me a favor, stand there and let the kids shoot you. And that's how it works. So we're 2 for 2 so far, and we're hoping the 3rd season brings the same thing, but it's such a wonderfully versatile meat. And game birds, I feel painfully undereducated, as to, like, pheasants and that sort. Like, what is the flavor compared to, say, just for folks listening, your standard chicken or maybe turkey?
Well, I feel like pheasant is actually it kind of tastes like chicken on drugs. Like, it's like if the chicken got, like, I don't know, like, injected with MSG, which is a good thing.
Hell
like,
yeah.
It's super flavorful, really, like, but it's still got the kind of texture of chicken, and it's, like, easy to cook. On my season, in the first episode, right, we all cook game birds on Top Chef. And the chucker, actually, which I got, reminded me of pheasant in a way, but, like, similar to, like, that same level of game bird, which is, like, a light white meat game bird.
Yeah. Well, and again, folks playing along at home, Shawn did his homework. Shawn remembered that first challenge was indeed game bird. So, like, talk about it in there. But no, game, I think it gets a bad rap, in general. Like, when you tell people, and we've had people over and we use venison in place of beef, and we don't tell them because we know the reaction they're going to get. I don't get that. I think either it's been made poorly for them before?
Yes,
or...
I think that's what it most of the time is that I know I love cooking fish for people who think they hate fish. I love, in game too, people are like, oh, it's too strong, it's too gamey. I'm like, they just gave you some old shit.
Exactly.
They just let that hang too long. Yes. You gotta get, the fresh stuff.
That's it. Because again, kids, what do we teach you? Every episode we talk to somebody about fish. Fish shouldn't smell fishy.
Right.
So there you go. So adventurous, great eater, doing gamey things. You got to look back at the childhood and maybe think about dishes that you had. Perhaps not the hamburger helper, perhaps the hamburger helper, who knows? That really kind of bring about that nostalgic pang of, I wish I could go back, or, and this is the one that pains me to hear professionals like yourself say, it's like, I have spent 20 years trying to remake this fucking thing and I can't do it. Do you have any of those dishes?
Sure, I think I probably have like a couple of each, really, but
nice.
The things that I grew up eating that I still eat all the time and I love is like, we do crab boils all the time, here in Virginia. And it's so nostalgic for me. The marina where my dad's boat would have them every week. And I would just be a little kid eating crabs, mostly picking crabs for my dad because he was lazy and didn't want to. So I would do it for him. And then, and then when I was a teenager, like sneaking shitty white Zinfandel, and eating crabs. And then, so that's always been something that stuck with me that I love. I still do it. When the Eliminators were here at my house, I did a crab boil for them.
Oh, so nice.
So that's something that I love doing and is really like very traditional for me and my family. Yeah. We talked about oysters. We always do oyster roast as well.
I love now. If I put your feet to the fire and I said you got to choose one, oyster roast or raw on the shell? Which would you pick?
Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to pick raw just because it's easier. But
okay.
But the roasted ones are the ones that are, for me, like, we make a big fire and we just, throw oysters on it till they open. We do it every Thanksgiving, and we have Bloody Marys, and my stepmom makes some cocktail sauce, and I make something weird to put on top, and
nice.
It's so much fun.
Nice.
But the things that, like, I can't achieve that I wish I could are these memories. My aunt and uncle are, like, super, like, homesteaders, like, like country people, and she used to make this, like, jam, the citron, kind of candied citron jam, that it's hard to find this fruit. It's like a melony citrus fruit, and I'll never forget what it tasted like, but I've never been able to recreate it. It's just one of those, like, kind of old lady country things that gets made that you just don't see that much.
No, and like, isn't that funny? It's never like these, like, great, high, exalted things. It's always these, maybe a little lesser, maybe a little more humble beginnings thing, but, like, you just can't. You can't find it. You can't recreate it. And you
can't forget about it.
Exactly. It's like a long lost love. So, I mean, wow, it's such a cool backdrop. And again, just having been in Bethany, I can kind of relate to the backdrop of the scene we're looking at. And we've talked about the things, and we've talked about the foods, and we've talked a little bit about the people, but I wonder, greatest culinary influence coming up. Who would you give that to?
It's hard. I mean, like, I think my dad and my great-grandmother are probably the two most that I would say, like, just familial-wise. Like, my dad's just always been a food lover, a restaurant lover, and I know we talked about this before, but for me, part of why I love to cook and why I love food is about people and about, like, just entertaining people and the party of a space, and I love that. My dad loves that. He's also kind of one of those guys he took me to restaurants all my life. So growing up in that world, I think that's what inspired me to want to be involved in it. Yeah. But, like, career-wise, my biggest influence is it's funny because, like, I don't know, I cooked for a lot of great chefs, and obviously I took a lot from all of them. But I guess I would say, like, that I worked briefly at Blue Hill at Stone Barns, and I think that was just a big inspiration to me in my career, and what Dan Barber's done there is incredible. So for me, that's probably where that comes from. Like, he's the most inspiring cook to me in my career.
I love that. That. So between, though, like, if we look at it like a movie and we're skipping scenes on the DVD, there I'm gonna say I'm still looking at a DVD, kids, because that's what I do. I'm not all streamy hip like you are. But let's say I'm popping around the scenes. That's kind of like scene 2, scene 3 of Dad and Great Grandma, and then we're in, like, scene 13, scene 14.
That's probably true.
Between those two, there had to have been the light bulb moment, the match strike, if you will, where you went, "Oh shit, food. That's what I want to do." What did that look like? And it, it doesn't necessarily have to be a single moment. Sometimes it's a series of moments, but when was that for Brittany with 2 N's Anderson? When did that happen?
Well, I guess, I thought I wanted to be a writer for mostly my whole life, which is, it's still something I think about, but it never came that easy to me. I always had to work really hard at it. And, I went to college for writing, for English, and, but I always worked in restaurants, and I loved working in restaurants. I was front of house person. I loved the whole vibe. And then I had an opportunity to work at a restaurant here in Richmond that was, one of the best restaurants in town. And I started to get to eat food that was better than I'd ever eaten. I started to get to try things and learn things, and I was very inspired and very into it. Had an ex-boyfriend who bought me a cooking class for my birthday at, like, Williams and Sonoma.
There you go.
And I was like 18, And I was like so excited and so into it. And then from there, I just started really loving cook culture, and I asked my chef if I could work in the kitchen. And he said, yeah, I mean, you can do it for free.
He's not going to pay you for that shit.
Okay.
Nice.
And so I did a couple of shifts for free on Pantry Station on Garde Manger, and made salads and desserts on my days where I wasn't working the bar. And then he, one day he told me I did a good job. I remember it. I made a Caesar salad that he loved, and he was like, good job. And it was like the best day of my life.
Is that not? Yeah. Yep.
I'll never forget that moment. And that was when I was like, I don't ever want to do anything but cook food again. So I started cooking most of my time there, and I kind of looked around me and I was like, I think I could do this forever. I think I could be better than I am right now, And so that's when I decided I wanted to go to culinary school, move to New York City, and try my best to be the best cook I could be.
I love it. Oh, God damn, I love it. And, fast forward, and that, you said food was always about, people and about, that engagement. But at the same time, too, is it not about that pleasing moment? Like, I've tried to explain to people with my limited experience, the one story, I've had folks who've listened to the show know it, where I was doing this pop-up event with a noodle group, and I was doing a brat-me, cold smoked bratwurst with a quick pickle kimchi, on a roll, and I, who would be the executive chef came in, showed me once, and said, "You got it?" I'm like, "Yeah, chef, got it." And he walked out, and he came back in as shit was getting in the weeds, and he sees I'm fucking it up. I'm just dying on my feet. And he looks at me with homicidal eyes, I might say, and says, "I'm going to show you one more fucking time, and I want you to get it right." And again, I was volunteering here. I want to express that I was volunteering, but I've been there, and I just went with it. I'm like, "Yes, chef, heard." And he showed me, and I cranked 83 out, and we ran out of ingredients, and he came back in afterwards, and he had a half of one in his hand because he was eating it, and he came in, handed me a beer, and says, "Nice job, chef," and walked out. For me, that moment, again, like yours, like I'll never forget that moment. Like that meant the world to me, and it's almost sick, isn't it? A little bit.
Probably. I mean, in this day and age, it's a different world now. I mean, you can't. People don't work for free. Well, they shouldn't work for free.
Right. I was gonna say they shouldn't, but they do. But okay, to each their own.
But I definitely there is some level of I don't know, joy, or maybe that's just for fucked up people like me. I don't know. In the hierarchy of a kitchen that
that's it.
Really thrived on when I was young.
Yeah.
I think being a woman in the kitchen, I mean, when I came up, there were never any other women in any kitchen with me. And I just felt like I had to work a lot harder. I had to be really competitive, and all I wanted to do was get on your station, man. I was like, nice. I will get on that station. That was like my whole goal coming up. And I don't know that that's healthy or the best experience, but like for me, it's what motivated me to be better and do my best. And I think that it helped me kind of get to where I am today.
That's it. That's exactly it. I think, listen, if you're fucked up, I'm fucked up with you. So misery or psychosis loves company. Let's just go with that.
I always say you have to be a little bit psycho to want to do like what I do, and not in a bad way, but like in a way that you just have to really like it and not care about a lot else. That's it. Like, yeah. God, this isn't my interview. This is your interview, so I'm going to leave that go. We can talk off air. Plenty of stories to share. Some definitely not fit for air. Anyway, moving on. But again, that brings you to your current day, and look at you. Like, what dog? What's the matter, Lassie? I'm so sorry.
Timmy's drowning in the well?
No,
Tell
I
me
think
more.
my husband's coming home and he's freaking out. She's freaking out.
Oh, I don't care. Welcome. Hi, welcome to the show, doggo.
Sorry.
No, totally cool. Jesus, if a dog on air is the worst I deal with, that's doing pretty well.
Well, her name is Rhea, and she likes to eat too.
Hi, Rhea. Good. We're good. I like to eat. See, Rhea and I could hang out, I think. Definitely. We might not eat the same thing, though. I'm just going to put that out there. So
she can take down like a dozen raw oysters on her own. She eats them right out of the shell. It's very cute.
All right. Challenge accepted, Rhea. Now it's not even playing anymore. Let's go, dog. You and me. Oysters, 12 o'clock. So all of this together brings you to where you are. And I gotta say, where you are is a hell of a place to be. Not just Top Chef, great, that's certainly how I came to know you, but then learning about your story, I mean, look at you all over the place. Not one, not two, not three, but 4 location. Again, Metzger Bar and Butchery, Brenner Pass, Black Lodge in Richmond, and Leni in DC. And with Leni in DC, correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty recently, you just started doing dinner there, correct?
Yes, launching dinner on the 22nd, and very excited about it. Like, when we opened Leni, we opened it as an all-day cafe, but the pandemic had other plans for us, so we only briefly got to do a dinner service, and in a way, I think of it as a bit of a gift because we've kind of figured out a little bit more what Leni wants to be. So, so like literally tonight, I am like working on menu tonight. I'm really excited about what's going to happen there. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. Any sneak peeks into the inspiration?
Well, I mean, at Leni, like we try to do kind of this sounds so weird. My take on like kind of healthy European style, Eastern European style food, which doesn't make a ton of sense, but so we're doing like vegetable forward kind of composed dishes right now. That's what our dinner is focused on. Okay. We're in a food hall that has lots of like delicious, but highly caloric kind of party food. Mm-hmm. So we try to be the alternative that has lots of like vegetables and a little bit more, subtlety. So that's the goal.
I love that because I think so often, and obviously folks listening, this is not the show you go to if you want to hear about Applebee's cuisine or shit like that, okay? Or fancy like whatever, fill in the blank there. It's, super fried, crusted, whatever. This is not where you want to go for that. I love hearing that somebody is taking a subtle, perhaps more delicate approach.
Well, it might not always serve me, but I do feel like my food is subtle. Like, I think that you don't always have to hit people over the head with stuff,
See, and I appreciate that. And, I'll just go on record, and I won't name judges' names, but enough of the, it needs salt. Shut the fuck up. Grab a shaker yourself. Don't be an asshole about it. Like, if it needs salt, maybe it's your palate that's a little off. I'm just going to say that.
I like to think that the salt is always right, but I do think that sometimes, like, especially on competition shows, they are looking to get really, like, kind of, like, smacked around with big, bold flavors. Yeah. And I think that, I get it. You're tasting a lot of food at once. Like, you need something to hit you over the head to, like, overwhelm the other things.
Yeah.
So it can be hard to be subtle in a competition show situation. Yeah. But if you want to eat a lot of food and you want to enjoy it, and you want to go and dance later or enjoy your evening.
Yeah. What you don't want is the Carolina Reaper reduction with a ghost pepper jus. Like, fuck off.
Exactly.
God, calm down. I only say that because that's what I use to make my hot sauce. So, and we'll talk more about that if you like hot sauce.
There's a time and place for Carolina Reaper. Don't get me wrong. Precisely.
God, so that's great. That's Leni. And I know, too, speaking of Portland alums, you're doing some pop-ups in November, December, correct?
Yes, so we have Jamie Tran and Maria Maison are coming to Brenner Pass in the beginning of November 5th and 6th. As of right now, we do still have a couple of tickets left for that. We're doing 6 courses, and then we're doing demo the next morning. And that's for a local food festival called Fireflower Fork. That's really cool. And that should be a blast. Kiki's also coming to town to just hang out, and we're looking forward to that.
Kiki.
Yes.
Nice.
Kiki and I don't really miss a chance to hang.
I don't know how you could. I don't know how the four of you could miss a chance to hang out. I'm just going to put that out there.
It's like we travel a lot for work, and we're both on the East Coast, so it makes it kind of easy to see each other. And then on November 13th, Byron Gomez will be doing a dinner at Brenner as well.
Nice.
That's going to be smaller, like a 20-person, really kind of intimate tasting experience, which I'm looking forward to. Because Byron makes, he makes very fancy food. So I'm really excited for him to get to do that. Like, with only 20 guests, I think he can really, blow minds.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we have Sarah Homan coming to Metzger in December.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're booked up. The train's moving. 4 locations. I think it stands to ask then, how do you keep it moving, Brittanny with 2 N's Anderson? Like, how do you? It's gotta be an effort at times to kind of, innovate, maybe not reinvent completely, but to keep it fresh. Where do you go for your inspiration?
I try to look back in time for a lot of inspiration. I love reading old cookbooks and exploring. Obviously, I make European food. I love going to Europe. I love, eating really traditional, old-timey things and taking that and making it a little more modern.
Okay.
I also try to spend a lot of time outside and connect with our farmers and the people who grow the food we make, and that's really inspiring to me too. But it is, I'm like a shark though. I can't not move. I have to be doing something. I have to be growing. Otherwise I don't know. I don't think I would be able to exist.
Yeah. Yeah. Folks listening at home who are not familiar with maritime biology, if a shark stops moving, the water stops passing over its gills, and therefore it dies. So the shark must keep moving.
Yes.
Very important for the shark to keep moving. So, Brittanny the Shark Anderson, that's like a wrestling name. Yo, there it is. There, I swear to God.
American Gladiators? I always said if I was on American Gladiators, my name would be Slice.
So, American Gladiators, was that not the greatest shit ever on TV?
I loved, when I was a kid, that was my favorite thing on earth to watch.
I had a thing for Zap. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to walk away. That's probably over admitting, but that's fine. American Gladiators was truly amazing.
Remember Diamond? I loved her.
Oh yeah, yes, of course I do. Jesus, you're just all I wanted was that tennis ball gun in my backyard.
Yes.
I wanted that on my roof, and I just wanted to shoot my friends. Is that too much to ask? I don't think so. Where is this going, Shawn? I don't know. Let's continue. So, you're inspired. You continue to make these incredible menus, these incredible locations. But I gotta ask you, there has to be one dish that you're most proud of to date that you've created. And at the same time, there's gotta be the one worst, which you hope no one would ever have asked you about again, which I'm here to do tonight. So I'll let you answer in whatever order you want to, but what has been your greatest creation and your greatest downfall?
Wow. This is deep. This is making me think.
This is where I go. At this point, I'm like a shark. I'm dragging you down in the water.
I guess my favorite thing I've ever made. I mean, that's hard. I write and change menus a lot. And I've been doing this. I've had Metzger now for 8 years. And so it's hard to remember everything. And I'm not the best at documenting. I'm really kind of fly by the seat of my pants. I like to just go with the flow of what I'm feeling. So we get lots of waves of vibes and emotion, I think, in my menus at all my restaurants. But, speaking of game, there was a pheasant dish that I did that I loved. I loved how it photographed. I loved how it tasted. Mm-hmm. It was a pheasant roulade with maitake mushroom. It had a maitake and pheasant jus, which we were talking about how pheasant has that MSG vibe to it. I can't explain it. Yeah. It's this super umami vibe. And then it had roasted sunchoke puree, and sunchoke chips, and it was just fall. Oh, and it had sweet potato greens. So it was very autumnal, very hearty and filling and beautiful, and I love that dish. So that's probably one of my top picks.
That literally sounds like a fall forest floor, like the floor of a forest. Like that's exactly what that sounds like.
Too. It's very pretty. I love that dish.
Nice.
What's my least? I mean, like, I guess I didn't love my dish I made when I got eliminated on Top Chef.
I love that people, like, it's funny, if it's a Top Chef contestant, they're instantly to, well, you know what I fucking hated? What sent me home in Top Chef?
I didn't hate it, but it was definitely confused. Like, I would never, that was not something I would normally make. But yeah, that was kind of a bummer. There's definitely elements of every dish that I think are gonna be good, but then it's about editing. It's about like concept and confusion. And I think that dish, it was mackerel with West African red stew, coconut sauce, and I mean, when I say it out loud, it sounds fucking insane. So,
it was. I mean, literally, if you were like typing that out as the title of a YouTube tutorial, you would have run out of characters halfway through.
Yeah, you'd be like, what?
Yeah, no. I'm sorry, what was that? Mackerel with what?
Stop! Take something off.
Right on. All right, well, very honest of you. We certainly appreciate that. So looking at the present lay of the land, the present industry, you know, there's always trends that are both present and forthcoming. I think when we think about trends in the moment, they're easy to identify. But we look to somebody with an expertise like yours, Brittany with two N's, and, you know, you're the one that kind of clues us into, hey, be watching for this. So I'll ask you, and I know we kind of referenced it on the Eliminators episode, what's a trend we as the dining public should be watching for?
I think plant-forward food, vegetable-focused food is going to continue to be very important trend in what we do and how we eat. I don't know. Fermentation, using koji, making grains into things like tempeh, which, you know, I don't do, but I think that is a very big trend right now and is going to continue to be. Mm-hmm. I think that utilizing waste, utilizing products that we're not normally using. So, I mean, all of this comes back to sustainability, right? Like, how are we going to deal with climate change and all of the issues that are going on in our environment, and take that into our fine dining, into our food places, and where we eat, and how that how we make it right, you know? Nice. So that's probably my biggest thing that I think is going to become a trend. And then I also think that workers' rights, food justice, people changing their restaurants to create better spaces for people is very important and is going to keep being on the burner. And I mean, until legislation is made that helps affect this change, like gets rid of tip credits, gets rid of things, like no one's going to do it. Like, I own restaurants. Like, I'm part of the problem here. I get it. Sure. But like, we can't change that, you know, shitty capitalist bullshit until we get some help and some support from the government in order to fix it. So that's the thing. So I would say expect your prices to rise in restaurants.
but again, don't bitch about it. Like, this is the thing. I'm sorry. I'm gonna yell at the dining public on your behalf, and you just like keep patting me on the back and telling me, go get him, killer. So like, here's the thing, and I've said this, and we actually, when COVID first started, we had a bunch of like 4 or 5 chef panels, everybody from Laura Cole up in Alaska to Nick Solares here in New York, former editor-in-chief of Eater.com, and you know, we all kind of got to the same point. It's like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? Eventually it's going to break down, and yes, it took a virus to do it. And now that you've realized, oh my God, I missed them so much, like a long lost love, and then you get reintroduced and you're going to scoff at $5 more to clean your shitty hands to make sure that like things are COVID free, that, you know, the concept of them being paid more is somehow inflammatory to you, that you still talk about the fact that, well, $2.74 an hour should be adequate. You think they're going to return to that?
And I just think there's a deep misunderstanding about how restaurants work financially, and how different restaurants are. Like, I hear a lot of times people getting mad about servers making $2.14 an hour, and they should be mad about that if they work somewhere where their tips don't make up for it. Somewhere like my restaurant, my servers make double or triple what my cooks make, because of the tips they're given, not because of me. You know what I mean? And there's laws in place that I can't affect change within that system in my own restaurant, because it's just the way it works. So it's just a big wage discrepancy between restaurants that are very, like fine dining restaurants that have privilege. To be honest, restaurants, that are not minority owned receive far more, like subsidies and help and things like that, that just give them a better situation to work. So like we need a regulatory system to make it all a little bit more fair for everyone. That's what I wish would happen.
You need the regulatory system. We need to leverage positionality to make sure that those of us who are in the have are helping the have-nots. Like it's not difficult. It really isn't. And I know, Tom Colicchio, as COVID was first unraveling its frilly collar like that dinosaur in Jurassic Park and spitting mucus in our faces, he stepped up big, and he was a huge mouthpiece.
He really did. That was pretty incredible.
But again, I feel like now that things have kind of gotten back, people are back to their lazy, whiny, bitchy ways about what they have to pay to go out. Like, shut up. Do you not remember?
It's kind of wild that, like, for a year and a half, we made shitty takeout food and no one was happy. Everyone was sad. It was a really hard time, for my restaurants and for the people who work in them, my teams who make them happen and stuck around and did the hard work and, got us reopened. And during that time, I feel like it was all restaurants. We love you. Support small business. And then now I'm back to getting Yelp reviews that say, like, how could these portions be so small for this amount of money and blah, 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 things like that. And, we've changed our entire wage system. Our minimum wage for anyone who works in our restaurant is $15 an hour. Thank you. I mean, I don't think that I deserve applause for that, because I think that people deserve to make a living wage. And I don't even know that that is a living wage at the end of the day, but it's what we can do with what we're trying to do. Yeah. But, that costs money. So we have to increase our prices, and we have to do what we have to do for the people who work for us, because without them, you wouldn't have a restaurant. Exactly. I truly don't understand people who think that there's not, like, actual human beings back here working, trying to do their best work for you. They're not there just for fun.
Well, they're there. When they put the bleach needle down and stop injecting themselves with it and can think about other people, that's a political joke, people. If you're paying attention, play that spot on the bingo card at home. It's funny, and you said about your minimum wage, and it's funny because I watch and people are like, well, why can't I get a table here? Why are they only down to half tables? Oh, because they're half staffed. You know why? Because they treated their staff like shit pre-pandemic, and now they can do whatever they want. They're the abusive boyfriend, and you're not getting a second chance. They're not going back to you. They're going to somewhere else. Whereas I have guests, and I have a sponsor, Turkey Hill Brewing here in Bloomsburg, which is amazing, who literally was back up to 125% capacity. They had to expand because nobody left. Everybody was there waiting. And my buddy Andrew Nebel, what's up, Nebel, called people from the restaurant at least once a week to check on them throughout until they could bring them back in.
I mean, and that's really what this story is about here, is culture.
They're people.
You create a culture, and you create a situation where you take care of the people who work for you. And it's not like you're taking care of them. You create an equitable workplace.
Exactly.
And if you have an equitable workplace, people will want to work there and stay with you. You pay your people. And that's the name of the game. That's what you have to do.
It's not a difficult equation. My God. We could go on for hours, I'm sure.
I know.
With that, let's Brittany, let's you and I tuck our soapboxes under our desks, and
Okay.
We'll go from there. So, obviously, you have the formula. Obviously, you got the people. Obviously, you've got the ingenuity, the innovation. You literally have everything you need to keep these 4 boats moving. Talk to me about what the next 5 years looks like. What does that look like for you?
I think I spoke a little bit about it the last time we talked about how I really tried to give myself some thought and headspace around what I wanted to do. Because if you'd asked me a couple of years ago or pre-pandemic if I wanted to open more spaces, I might have said, no, I think I'm done right now.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I guess I always thought that we might, I would be like, oh, well, maybe we'll close one and open a new one or whatever. But now things are going really well, and all the restaurants are doing really great. The teams and the spaces, the chefs who work for me, for everybody who's there is just inspiring and talented. And I have this opportunity to continue to grow and create new places for more people to get to work at and to get to create new food. And so I'm trying to lean into that experience and accept that I can do it. I feel a little tougher, a little braver, a little bit more ready.
Ooh, watch out now.
Shark is on the move. So I think I'm going to try to do another space in DC. I think that's my next thing I want to do. I want to do a fun bar.
Oh, nice.
And, and then I'm going to turn 40 next year. And I just want to have a J-Lo moment on a yacht in the Caribbean. This is my goal.
That's it. 40. Good for you. 40, honestly, 30 bugged me. 30 creeped me out. 40 was like victory because I just went to the gym the next day with a raging hangover and just I'm like, nope, not today, Death. You're not going to have me.
I feel like when you're 30, you don't really get any props, but when you're 40 and you're killing it and you look good or whatever, people are like, oh my God, you look so great. But no one says that when you're 30. So
no, nobody gives a shit at 30.
Right. So I'll just accept that at 40.
You hear that, 30-year-olds? No one gives a shit about you.
Right.
Shut up. Sit down and shut up. Obviously, growth, creating new places. If there's anybody who can do it, it's definitely going to be you. Brittany with 2 N's. Let's transition into the afters, shall we? A little bit more dangerous waters. Since you're maybe you won't make 40 after these questions. I'm not sure. I can't make promises. But you've already had some exposure to them, so I doubt they're going to be that damaging. Let's say you and I are doing prep or cooking together in any one of your 4 locations, 4 illustrious locations, I might add. And you've got control of the music. What are you playing?
I think my answer when we last talked was Anita Baker, but that was specifically a shout out for my Eliminator fam. Because if I was cooking with them, we would be listening to Anita Baker. But if you're just cooking with me in my house, we're listening to Beyonce.
Nice.
Or we're listening to hip hop or some soul music, something like that. But something fun. Beyonce's usually on the rotation. Drunken Love.
I heard hip hop. I have to ask the question anytime I hear this. On Pandora, are you familiar with Hip Hop Barbecue?
I have heard of Hip Hop Barbecue, but I'm not on Pandora. I'm a Spotify person.
Listen, if anything's going to bring you to the Pandora fold, let it be the magic that is Hip Hop Barbecue. Okay. This has sustained for weekends at a time. We would go to a camping cabin, no shit, a hunting cabin, where we would tube all day long, nothing but Hip Hop Barbecue, and we never changed it. It is magic. It is just magic. So, all
right, I'll look for it.
Hip hop in the mix, obviously Beyonce-centric. Why would you not be? We'll go back to the deserted island question. I'm interested to see if this one holds weight.
It won't.
Yeah. Do you answer in the same way? So, blah blah blah.
Well, at the time, I really was hungry, and
do you remember what you answered for this?
Yes, I said Triscuits and cheese or something.
Triscuits, cheese, and pork, which I adore. I'm like, fuck, all right, we can hang out. That's
I like Triscuits a lot, okay, but I will take it back. I'll take back the Triscuits because then I heard everyone else's answers because I was first on that one, I think, so I didn't have time to think. But everyone else's answers were like much smarter. They were like, they had big plans. So all right, I'm gonna stick with pork because like I feel like if you've got a pig around, you can do so many things with it.
Yeah. Okay, now listen, folks listening at home, especially here in central Pennsylvania, she didn't mean that. There are so many things you could do with pork. Stop it. Stop looking at your device, whatever you're listening on. She did not mean that.
We can cook a pig in many ways.
There you go. That's much better.
And I would say, so a pig, I would say, what else? What else do I need around me all the time? I would still say cheese, but I would be a little bit more specific. Like, it never ends, right? The three things I pick. Yeah, I would pick like a big hard Alpine cheese, like a
okay,
like an Abondance or like.
Would that be like a Jarlsberg?
No, it's
that's
a little
soft,
different.
right?
It's going to be like a big French, like Comte style cheese.
Okay.
So I feel like you can melt them, you can grate them on things, you can just snack on them. I love cheese. So sticking with cheese, but we took it up a notch, better cheese. And then I'm going to say anchovies because anchovies and pork are like my favorite combination, and anchovies and cheese also high level. So, and we put them all together, you got a nice snack.
I wish you could see my face as soon as you said that. Anchovies and pork. I'm like, wait, what? What?
Oh,
what
anchovies
is this
and pork
devilry?
is the jam.
Ooh, okay, but you don't have Triscuits. Is that like limited?
I know.
I know.
I'm just gonna have to like figure out some weird like, you know, some sort of cracker from the sea. I don't know what that means. I figure some kind. Maybe just use seaweed and dry it and make some kind of fun cracker out of that.
There you go, nori. You can make nori.
Yeah, I can make nori.
There you go.
Know, it's my dream to go on Survivor and just make food, just forage food from the islands.
That's awesome.
I wouldn't do well any other way, but I would cook for everyone, and then hopefully they would let me stay.
You gotta have that. You gotta have that person. So here's the question I was so stoked to ask Sasha, and now you. Melanie Dinner did 2 wonderful coffee table books, photography books.
I have one.
Which one?
Last Supper.
Oh my god. Listen to me. I'm not shitting you. Out of 177 episodes, you're maybe the 3rd person who's been like, oh yeah, I have that.
I love that book. It's beautiful.
Holy shit. So, do you know there's a follow-up to it?
What was the second one?
The Next Course. It's got Marco Pierre White on the front, holding
I don't know that one.
Oh my god. I'm going to at least send you a picture of it so you can see it exists. Okay. So it's, obviously it's a sequel to it. So I don't need to explain this shit to you. Awesome. You know the deal. And you know the late night game, like after shift is done, you're having your shift drinks and people are sitting around and they're like, yo, you're going to die tomorrow. What would your last meal be? It's kind of along those lines. But so I ask you, what is your last meal? Like, what are you eating? What are you drinking? Who's there? Talk to me.
Oh, it's going to be like a big feast because
love it.
I like the best meal of my life, or at least the one that I'll remember forever, was at Paul Bocuse restaurant in Lyon.
Oh my god!
And it's just one of those things that like literally I felt like I was on drugs the entire time. It was incredible. So I would want to recreate that. I would want to do that again, but without the weird guy on the little music machine, because that was kind of creepy. But I would want that meal, and I would want to add in all the Virginia blue crabs. We would have to have the blue crabs. But I would like it to be prepared how they would prepare it. And what else would I have to have? Oysters. We'd have to have a massive seafood tower with lots of shrimp, cocktail, and Triscuits and cheese.
I love it. It's so like anti-bougie and yet so
bougie
brilliant. Exactly. I love it. So
yeah, that's what I would want.
I love that. Like completely front to back. That's everything. That is literally everything. So the last question, obviously, Again, the most simple and yet the most complex for you, Chef Brittanny Anderson. What is food to you in a single word?
Food to me is, this is hard because like the word I'm looking for isn't community, but it's about bringing people together. And I know that's not a single word. What's the word I'm looking for? It's about communion. That's the word I'm looking for. Food is communion, because when we have food and we have drink and we have tradition, because really tradition is what I think of when I think of food. And I think about memory, and I think about people and the joy and life that gets created in the spaces where we have food. And that is just the most soul sustaining thing for me. It's the thing that makes me the most happy in life. And I don't think that I could live without it.
I love that. Yeah, it really is such a hard question. And again, last episode, the Eliminators, you did respond community. So communion.
Oh, did I?
You did?
So I just changed a little to communion.
Just a little bit, but I like communion more, just because it feels like more of a
ritual.
Yeah, like ritual, sacred act. And it really is. Tonight, honestly, busy as we are, I've got 3 kids and activities and all this shit. And, my wife was putting leftover pizza in the oven. She's like, hey, are you going to come sit with us tonight? Because normally I'm running around like, somebody with my hair on fire. I'm like, oh yeah. And it really was just wonderfully centering. Just like for those of you who do the Sunday thing, the kneel, stand, cross, everything. I'm sure that works for you, but food for me, food is my church. The kitchen is my church. So
exactly.
There you go. Damn. Brittanny Anderson, what a time, what an interview, what a human being you are. Let me run down your plugs, because you got a ton of them, so thanks for that. I might have to take a break to breathe in between. See, Sasha, do you hear that? We shit on you for traveling to Italy. I'm shitting on her for having this many plugs, but it's fine. It's all good. The plugs, obviously the Facebook Insta. If you want to go find Brittanny with 2 N's, on the Facebook, on the Insta, she is out there. We've got Metzger Bar and Butchery, and that is located at 801 North 23rd Street, Richmond, Virginia, 23223. Be sure to check them out, 804-325-3147. Reservations available via Open Table. Next, we've got Brenner Pass, 3200 Rockbridge Street, number 100, Richmond, Virginia, as well, 23230. Also, OpenTable.com, 804-658-9868 for more details. Next up, we got Black Lodge, 3200 Rockbridge Street, number 101, go figure, Richmond, Virginia, 23230, 804-965-3331. And finally, Leni, available in the Roost at 1401 Pennsylvania Ave Southeast, Washington, D.C., 20003. Did I miss anything at all, Brittanny?
No, I'm really impressed. That was really good.
That's a little
I don't
bit.
think I could do that, so I'm proud.
A little bit of preparation goes a long way, but I mean, for somebody like you, Brittanny, I would literally do it all over again. You are just a phenom, a pleasure to have on, and thank you so much for hanging out tonight.
Thank you so much. I had a blast.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 177 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With me this evening, the illustrious, if not copiously located, Chef Brittanny Anderson. Our producer, as always, has been the Reverend Johnny Lamoria, a.k.a. Johnny Leland Robinson. Be sure to check out all his libertarian and steampunk happenings in the 18431. Next episode, you know who it is. We're going to wrap up the Quattro with Kiki. Be sure to check it out. Stay tuned. Are you passing through central Pennsylvania and looking for one of the best dining experiences and craft brew menus around? Look no further. Turkey Hill Brewing Company and 991 Central Road in Bloomsburg, PA has everything you could ask for and then some. Service, food, beer together unbelievable. Be sure to check them out. Call them today for reservations. 570-387-8422. Call today.